So this is a video recap of our lunar phases explanations that we were talking about in class today and this other model that I showed you. So we were working with our paper model in our lunar phases online lab, and you guys were coloring in what the moon looked like from space and what it looked like from Earth. So I showed you guys this model, which is just another model. So here's my sun shining light on my moons, and the Earth in this case would be right here. So northern hemisphere, there's the Earth would be right here, and this is what you would see from space if you were up in a space ship hovering above the North Pole, up above the solar system, where you could see the sun and the Earth and the moon. This is what it would look like. The moon would be shaded like this, and it's always 50% covered in sunlight, and the Earth would be shaded like this, and the Earth would be covered in 50% sunlight as well, because the other half would be experiencing nighttime. But what I showed you in class is how does this look like from the Earth? So if I use this model, again, sun, and then this is my moon in its orbit or its revolution, and the side of the moon that is facing the sun is covered in light, and the side of the moon that is facing away from the sun is covered in darkness because it's not receiving any solar energy. So if I put this board up here, you will see, and let's start with the same phase we did in class, you will see the moon from Earth's perspective, and this is in the new moon position. So the moon is still half lit, but what we see from Earth's side is we don't see any of the lit portion of that moon, 0% of it. So then as the moon rotates in that counterclockwise direction, the first phase we see, the next phase we see is that waxing crescent. So about 25% is what we see of the lit portion of the moon. Now, you know, because I just showed you on the top of this model, that all of these foam balls, half of them are light and half of them are dark. But our perspective from Earth is what creates those lunar phases. So we're only seeing 25% of that lit portion of the moon. Now here, when I turn it to this stage, so this is first quarter, from the Earth, you see that you just see half of that, so 50% of the lit portion of the moon. I'm going to continue going through my orbit. So there is our waxing gibbous. Let me get that position just right for you guys. So that's the waxing gibbous when we see about 75% of the lit portion of the moon. Now here at full moon, if you guys can see that okay, we see 100% of the lit portion of the moon in the full moon phase. And I'll get that situated hopefully just right there. So there's full moon. And here we are with the waning gibbous. And then this is our third quarter. Let me get that position just right. There's third quarter or last quarter moon. And then finally, we have our waning crescent, and then all the way back around to new moon. So the lunar phases are all about what we see from Earth's perspective and that portion of the moon that is lit. So we know from space, 50% of the moon is always covered in sunlight and 50% is in darkness. But what we see from Earth, our perspective, is what creates those lunar phases. So even though they're all 50%, if I put this back on here, what we see here is that first quarter moon, because we're just seeing 50% of the 50% that's covered in light, and we call that a first quarter. Now, one way to remember the difference between waxing and waning, and we talked about this in class as well, is waxing means that the light is growing, and waning means the light is getting smaller on the moon. So we're seeing less and less. And this was that Karate Kid Cobra Kai connection. So wax on the right side, if the light is on the right in the northern hemisphere only, wax on means that the moon is growing. So if you go out and you look at the moon tonight and the light is on the right side of the moon, then it is a waxing moon, and it's wane off. So if it's on the left side or the wane off with the left hand, then the light is going off and the moon is getting closer and closer to that new moon. So wax on, light on the right. So wax on with the right hand, the moon is getting lighter and lighter, and we're headed towards full moon. And wane off with the left hand, so if the light is on the left, it is waning and going closer and closer to that new moon. So hopefully that helps and gives you a recap of what we covered in class today. If you have any questions or if this video confused you, just let me know and I will help you out.